how important even just a couple of days working with Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be for Canelo, just to see a bit of the tempo, a bit of that switching of stance, because let's be honest, there's not many guys that Canelo has fought that have fought out of both stances and done it as fluidly as Boots Ennis or as Bud Crawford will do it.
Bien, bien hecho. Bonita pinta otra vez ahí. No te la cambias.
Fight, not Crawford. I don't think Boots fight like Crawford at all. That was just, I think the comparison they was making initially was just as they both were switch hitters and they both could be so naturally. That's really the only thing that they do.
The boxing world is stunned after news broke that Canelo Alvarez has been sparring with Jaron Boots Ennis ahead of his fight with Terence Crawford.
Bien, bien, bien. Dándole la cintura. Bien, bien hecho. Bonita pinta otra vez ahí. No te la cambias. Suavecito y remate. Otra vez. Remate ya. Suavecito y remate. Un pasito atrás y ahorita.
Many see this as a powerful statement of intent from Canelo's camp. Former world champion Andre Durrell highlighted that this move proves Canelo plans to be at his absolute best for September, leaving no room for complacency. Ennis is known for his speed, explosiveness, and versatility, making him one of the closest possible replicas of Crawford. Bringing Boots into camp shows not only respect for Crawford's skill, but also how serious Canelo is about this challenge.
Canelo, I do believe this is get back on Crawford for not taking the fight with Boots back in 2024 when Boots called him out. But Crawford was on the bigger and better things, baby. That bigger and better things being Canelo Alvarez, September 13th, 2025. Bigger legacy, bigger name, bigger payday, bigger status. So, too little, too late, Boots. But I am looking forward to how you advance in your career after this, because this camp is definitely going to level you up, man. You're going to get better because of it in every aspect. Toughness, skill set, smarts. You're going to get a lot from this camp, champ. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do because of it. You're already a bad man, dog. I want to see where you take it from here. But Crawford, it's over. I believe he walking away in the sunset, especially if he walk away with the victory, which I'm hoping for. But you, champ, you're going to have to settle for something else. Get Canelo that work, man. He going to need it. He going to need it. According to Roy Jones, Canelo got to be on his A game. You got to be on yours too, man. We're looking forward to seeing what you do after this. It's raining on me right now, so I'm going to cut this short, baby. But Boots, get somebody else, champ. Get somebody else.
Orbit shook the boxing world by tweeting a picture of Canelo Alvarez sparring with Jaron Ennis. Their post read, Canelo Alvarez sparring with Jaron Ennis ahead of his bout with Terence Crawford on September 13th, sparking intense reactions from fans and analysts worldwide. Trainer Greg Hackett sees the decision to bring Ennis into Canelo's camp as one of the most talked about moves leading up to the Crawford fight. To him, the reaction of fans and media is understandable because nobody expected such a collaboration. At first glance, it might look like a curious or even amusing choice, but Hackett emphasizes there is nothing random about it. Canelo is preparing for an opponent like Terence Crawford, who thrives on ambition, adaptability, and relentless drive. In that sense, sparring with Boots is a calculated attempt to simulate the energy and intensity Crawford brings into a fight. Hackett underlines that Ennis is not just another sparring partner, he's one of the brightest young stars in boxing, known for his speed, explosiveness, and hunger to prove himself. Ennis provides exactly the kind of challenge Canelo needs to be pushed every day in camp. For Hackett, what some dismiss as a camp gimmick is actually part of a well-thought-out plan. He believes Canelo's team is showing their respect for Crawford by choosing preparation that leaves no room for surprises on fight night.
I don't know, because it's things I know about camp and how they want things to go. So is it going to be that way? Is y'all going to try to alter the camp, or is y'all going to let them go? Or, I mean, is y'all looking to still?
Give me the psychology behind both sides. What does Jaron Ennis get from this? What does Canelo Alvarez get from this?
I mean, Jaron Ennis get from it being in with the elite, a guy who's prepared for everything. One thing you can't say about Canelo is that he hasn't seen something. Canelo's seen southpaws, he's seen tall guys, short guys, slick fighters, he's seen bulls, he's been up against everything. So you get a world of experience with a guy like Canelo. You get a guy who's in full confidence with a guy like Canelo. So with that type of boxing, I would see Canelo really not worried about so much of what Boots trying to do to him, but really just paying attention to him. But then it's the same, like, I don't know, I can see Boots kind of like, I think the mindset for Boots would be not only to prove I can hang, but to also be trying to see what will come with this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I don't think I would do that. I don't know. It's just me. I just think, the only reason I say that, because I think Boots can get that fight. I think Boots can end up in a fight with Canelo. And I'm saying that because, you know, the reason I say I wouldn't do it is because I wouldn't spar you and then here go a year later they fight.
I mean, for as much as it does for Canelo, it does for Boots, though, right? If that were to be the case.
Yeah, but there's so many ways it could go. And what I'm saying is, if I was to be where Boots is right now, if one thing we can all agree on, everybody hate Boots right now. They mad at Boots, right?
Benavidez Sr. dismisses the hype surrounding Canelo's sparring choices, noting that no matter what people are saying online, his camp refuses to get distracted. In his view, the only thing that matters is what happens when the bell rings on fight night. Benavidez Sr. emphasizes that boxing fans often read too much into sparring partnerships, forgetting they are simply tools for preparation. Whether Canelo sparred with Boots or someone else, it does not change the fact that Crawford is a different animal altogether. For Benavidez Sr., real results are not determined in sparring sessions, but under the lights, in a real fight. His comments serve as a reminder that while headlines may stir excitement, experienced camps stay grounded and focused on their own strategy.
Whatever, we're not even like thinking about it anymore, and you were just like, Canelo is slipping and stuff like that. Does it make you kind of rethink Canelo and that Crawford fight to be like, well, he's really taking it serious to bring in a guy like Jaron Ennis?
Well, like I said, I don't really focus on that. We stay in our lane, and try to get better ourselves. And whatever they do, whatever they decide to bring in or whatever, I'm pretty sure they have a plan. But I don't really focus on what other people do. We focus on what we do in order to get better ourselves. Because we do have a lot of things that we need to fix and get better at. So my respects to whatever they do or whatever they're doing, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing, but we don't really focus on that, what other people do. Like I said, we gotta get better at our craft.
Brian Norman Jr. offers a critical perspective, arguing that while Boots is a sensational fighter, his style does not truly mirror Terence Crawford's. He points out that the only similarities may be in their physical build and the kind of power shots they throw. Outside of that, Norman stresses their approach to boxing is vastly different. Crawford is a master of switching stances, setting traps, and executing strategies in real time. While Boots is more explosive and aggressive in his delivery, Norman cautions that sparring with Ennis may give Canelo a tough challenge, but it will not fully replicate what it feels like to face Crawford in the ring. His comments add an important counterbalance to the praise, suggesting that while useful, this camp move has its limits.
I mean, I think it's good work. Crawford, I don't think Crawford fight, not Crawford. I don't think Boots fight like Crawford at all. That was just, I think the comparisons they was making initially was just as they both were switch hitters and they both could be so naturally. That's really the only thing that they do the same. They don't do anything else the same, literally. So I never understood the comparison in that myself. But I think it's still a good look because all work is good work and you want the best work. You feel what I'm saying? So if Jaron Ennis is supposed to be the best work, even though he was a 47-pounder and not going up to 54, which is the same thing that Crawford was. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I do think that Boots getting a lot of unnecessary backlash about doing it, though. I don't agree with the backlash he's getting about, going to spar, getting that paycheck, getting that experience. Because I think he needed it anyway. I always talk trash about him. I always stand in Philly, hiding in Philly. He don't want to go outside the spar. He don't want to go outside to do anything else. So in this case right here, I think it's well needed for his career. It's needed for the building of a fighter. You know what I'm saying? You got to go out. You got to go in certain different types of territories and places and get that kind of work. So I mean, I think Boots getting a lot of unnecessary criticism, and if I'm defending him, you know it's real. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's getting a lot of unnecessary criticism, talking about sellout and all of that. That's some bullshit.
Wade Oladipo gives a sobering reminder of where Canelo stands today in comparison to his prime years. He points back to the Gennady Golovkin rematch in 2018 as the moment when Canelo looked at his absolute best. According to Oladipo, that was 7 years ago, and since then, while Canelo has remained elite, he has not looked quite as sharp or untouchable. This raises the question of whether even the smartest training moves, like sparring with boots, can fully bridge the gap between his current form and Crawford's peak momentum. Oladipo's assessment places pressure on the Alvarez camp, suggesting that they may be working overtime in sparring because they know the version of Canelo today needs extra reinforcement.
I don't think that Crawford is fighting the best Canelo anymore. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, I mean, second Golovkin fight, I thought was fucking incredible. That feels like a long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, or 5.5 years, that's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September, so it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, almost 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. It clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite, Edgar Berlanga, no, Munguia, no, Jamel, no, John Ryder, no, the third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull, Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well, Canelo didn't cut off the exits. Canelo wasn't great himself. Canelo's punch output was horrendous. So we can clearly see the deterioration. That said, he is the naturally bigger guy. I just mentioned the fact that Crawford's put on size, but the naturally bigger guy in this weight class is Canelo. That has to count for something. We know Canelo's been able to absorb punches from the naturally bigger guys. I mean, barely anyone's put a dent in this guy, right? That's how good his chin is. Maybe the best chin in boxing. It's frightening. But the legs have slowed down. The output has slowed down as well. And I always think about, with Canelo, desire and want and will. I always sort of say, where is that?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.